Evening, colleagues. Welcome to our council meeting on October 25th, 2023. I will now call on Will Short, Regional Clerk, to do the roll call.
Thank you, Chair. Chair Redmond.
Present.
Councillor Craig. Present. Councillor Deutschmann. Present. Councillor Erb. Present. Councillor Foxton.
Present.
Councillor Harris. Councillor Hunink.
Present.
Councillor James.
Present.
Councillor Liggett. Councillor McCabe.
Present.
Councillor Nowak. Councillor Salonen.
Present.
Councillor Shantz.
Present.
Councillor Vrbanovic. He's here. Councillor Williams. Councillor Williams.
Present.
And we have regrets from Councillor Wolf. Councillor Vrbanovic is here. Yeah, I got him.
We took note that he was here, even though he didn't give us a voice response. I would like to acknowledge the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Neutral people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. Colleagues, I would now entertain a motion to go into close, but I would draw your attention to the fact that an additional item has been added to the agenda for today that relates to advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege. And if I could have somebody move the motion that we go into closed. Moved by Councillor Foxton, seconded by Councillor Nowak. Please use eScribe to indicate your support. So if you're not logged into eScribe, all those in favor could please indicate with their hand now, and clerk will take. So it looks like everybody is in favor, except nobody is happy with their eScribe at the moment. That is carried, colleagues. I will see you in the Waterloo room. Like to reconvene this council in open session. If I could have a motion to reconvene. Moved by Councillor Hunick, seconded by Councillor Craig. Please use e-scribe to vote. That's great, thank you. That's carried, colleagues. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Seeing none, I want to kick tonight off with a presentation of the 2022 Water Efficiency Excellent Awards going to CCC Sulphur Products. The Region of Waterloo is proud to recognize Canada Colors and Chemicals as this year's recipient of the Water Efficiency Excellence Award. The Elmira-based Plastics and Sulphur Products Company is the first winner from the Township of Woolwich. The award is given to a business, institution, or organization who invests in completing an exemplary water reduction project with the help of the region's water efficient technology program. It is given annually to a business or organization who takes the initiative to research water savings solutions and spends their own money to implement a solution that achieves significant water savings. The award considers the geographic location, the uniqueness of the industry, the size of the investment, and the innovation of the solution, among other criteria. This award was created to recognize community leaders in water efficiency and to promote innovative examples of like-minded businesses and organizations in hopes that they will look into water-saving solutions of their own. Canada Colors and Chemicals undertook a large water reuse and energy recovery project, beginning with an engineering audit back in 2018, culminating, I can get it, in the implementation of a steam turbine generator upgrade in 2022. The steam created is looped back into their process, replacing water they would otherwise need from our drinking water supply system. The $4 million project received $58,000 in funding from the region and helped save the company 147 cubic meters of water per day, which amounts to the daily water needs for 225 homes. This represents a 27% reduction in company's water use, which is a great return on investment for Canada Colors and Chemicals. For the region, it reduces the amount of water that has to be sourced and treated, which is very helpful in our long-term water supply planning. Saving water with existing users is the least expensive way of providing water to more people in the region. The region relies on forward-thinking companies like Canada Colors and Chemicals to make investments in their future and that of our community by seeking efficient and responsible use of our precious but limited drinking water resources. Today, on behalf of Region of Waterloo, it is my honor to present Mandir Rai, lead process engineer for Canada Colors and Chemicals Sulphur Products, with this year's Water Efficiency Excellent Award. Congratulations to you and your entire team at Canada Colors and Chemicals. Councillor Shantz, would you like to add your voice of congratulations, and then we will do a photo op and present them with the award.
Sure. Thank you, of course. And in Elmira, we're very aware of our water and appreciate all of our industries that take water conservation seriously. And so we're really proud of the work that Canada Colors has done, and congratulations.
Now it's time for the photo op. Colleagues, we have no petitions. We do, however, have delegations, and will now proceed to hearing from them. They are listed in your agenda. I would like to remind all delegations of some guidelines for participation. For those who are joining us in person, please proceed to the podium when you are called upon to speak. For those who are joining us electronically, please leave your video camera turned off and your microphone audio muted until you are called upon to speak. Delegations who are registered before the deadline have 5 minutes. Delegations who registered after the deadline have 3 minutes. If you conduct yourself in any of the following manners, it will result in immediate removal from the meeting. Interrupting councillors, staff, or other delegations. Derogatory statements about councillors, staff, or others. Turning on your camera at inappropriate times, and hate speech or defamatory comments. One last reminder for delegations, please do not take offense if after your presentation there are no questions from council. This is council's time to really listen and reflect upon the opinions and ideas shared with us by our community. The first delegation is Aunty Ken and Professor Chestnut, and I believe you're here in person. They're not here. So our next delegation is Nathan Whalen from Cambridge. Welcome, Nathan. You have the floor, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair Redmond, members of council, staff, and members of the public. My name is Nathan Whalen, and my husband and I live on Dahl Street North, where the development that we're considering tonight around Kinsmen Children's Centre is located. So I want to come to you today with some suggestions around a proposed amendment to make the proposed study and the concept that we're looking at much more palatable for the community, while balancing making sure that we take care of our most vulnerable in our community, our homeless population, and also making sure that we prioritize safety and a whole bunch of other community concerns. So, taking you back, in 2021, this location transitioned from a child care center to really what is now a temporary overflow shelter, which was initially, we said it was for COVID-19 isolation. So Cambridge Shelter Corporation operated
Nathan,
that.
sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
Are
I'm
your
sorry.
slides supposed to be advancing?
I'll let her know in 1 second. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Yes, thank you. Just this little prelude. Thank you very much, Chair Redmond. So the Cambridge Shelter Corporation was operating the shelter as an overflow during COVID-19. So there was 18 beds initially, and the concept was to make sure that we isolated people so that other people at the current shelter in Galt did not get sick. And then in January 2023, the CBC reported that the Kinsmen Children's Centre now hosts 40 beds and has evolved to support individuals for other medical issues beyond the initial intended purpose. I'll just go to the next slide if you might, please. So tonight I'm here to propose some amendments that are going to make this motion that's before you tonight more ambitious. And my first part of that is to actually help us shift away from the currently proposed homeless shelter on the second floor and apartments above, to actually focusing more generally on affordable housing. So as you can see in the chart, I know you would have the package in front of you, you can see that it's actually surrounded by, I noted 3 schools, but there's actually 4. So there's Coronation Public School, which is less than 150 meters away, St. Michael's Catholic School, William G. Davis Public School, and Saint Noel Chabanel Catholic Elementary School. So because the concept design currently includes a proposal with a paramedic station, the shelter space, and the 33 apartments on the top floor. Not only, as you can see, is a homeless shelter likely inappropriate at this proposed location, but building new shelters actually goes against the region's housing first strategy. And mixed income and supportive housing options are far more likely to be the highest and best use of this space in the redevelopment. So for example, instead of this, you might consider a combination of affordable and supportive seniors housing combined with a child care component, maybe a health clinic, maybe the paramedic station. So there's lots of options that can be explored. But I would suggest tonight that we actually take the homeless shelter component right off the table from the get-go so that we allay the community concerns and we make sure that we accelerate this development proposal in the best way forward that is not bogged down with protest or a whole bunch of folks that are obviously going to be very, very concerned about that particular type of use. if the second component is that I would suggest that you consider working with the Waterloo District School Board to expand the size of the property. As you can see, it's actually on both sides, three sides. There's a lot of green space. It's relatively, it's very rarely used by the students there. And you could actually plop a whole extra size of this building on the exact left, and you could divide the property in half with a contribution from the Waterloo District School Board. And I really do think that that would be a smart thing to do, so that we actually have a larger building footprint and can build more. And I would, if I could just go to the next slide, please. What you'll see is that our currently proposed model is about 4 to 5 stories. And just up the street, you recently approved the Langs Drive development, which is actually at 7 stories of affordable housing. So I'd say that there's probably some room, and maybe some of my neighbors will disagree with me. However, there's probably some room to increase the size and the number of stories of that property, so we can put more affordable units or other use in there.
1 minute left, Nathan.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to the next slide, if you don't mind. There's also federal dollars available, so I would suggest that you consider applying for this now, because it's a great opportunity with a contribution from multiple partners. And the next slide. And then I would say that please add in to consult key partners early. There hasn't been public consultation to date, and I think that that's really important. And finally, and the next slide, please. You'll see here, I know you can't see it on the screen in front of you, but if you have it, I did put in red your exact motion and what my recommendation is. And I would just say that I'd add here to it, since chatting briefly with Cambridge, some folks at Cambridge Shelter Corporation, to actually add in D, which is direct staff to explore opportunities with Cambridge Shelter Corporation to support individuals currently sheltered at the 651 Concession Road property and those in our community who can currently experience homelessness and medical issues. Because I think really the point of this is saying, how do we make sure that we redevelop this project and this great asset, and then how do we make sure we do it in an appropriate way while making sure that we don't put more homeless people out on the street, which is obviously a top concern. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Nathan, and don't run away. I have a couple of colleagues that I think have questions. Councillor Craig.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. And through you, Nathan, I do appreciate your stamina on putting all this together for us. And I say that respectfully. It's a lot of work. The motion that we're dealing with tonight, and I'll read it because I think it needs to have some clarification here. It says, direct staff to explore in consultation with necessary regional departments and city staff the concept of redeveloping the regionally owned property located at 651 Concession Road, Cambridge, with a regional multi-use building including paramedic services, affordable housing, and potentially other integrated social service offerings. Now, it doesn't say anything about a homeless shelter, but if in fact we were to put in there as an amendment excluding any proposal for a homeless shelter, would you be satisfied with that?
I think that that would allay a significant number of community members' concerns and still likely help us achieve a great outcome.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll move that when it comes up. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Craig. Councillor Deutschmann, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nate, first of all, welcome back again.
Thank
I just
you.
want to say your presentations are always very thoughtful and well laid out, and I appreciate the effort that you put in. You know, I mentioned that to you last time you were here. And I just want to reiterate what Councillor Craig said, and I'm not sure where the concept of the homeless shelter is coming from, because no one here would put a homeless shelter in that spot, just so you know. And it was never mentioned in the report as a homeless shelter, just as Councillor Craig read out. The concepts were either affordable housing and the paramedic services. Never mentioned to be a homeless shelter. And I'll second Councillor Craig's amendment
Thank you.
this evening as well. So thanks, Nate, for coming in.
There's nothing on the floor at the moment, but when we get to that, I will remember you. Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
Chair Redmond.
Next presenter is Sam Nabi. Welcome, Sam. You have the floor and you have 5 minutes.
Hello, Chair Redmond, members of council. My name is Sam Nabi. I'm here to speak on behalf of Hold the Line Waterloo Region with regards to recent decisions by the provincial government to walk back their decisions regarding our regional official plan. As you well know, in August 2022, the region of Waterloo passed the new regional official plan amendment known as ROPA 6, It's a good plan. It's the result of robust consultations with all corners of our community. We at Hold the Line Waterloo Region would have liked to see more provisions for higher density, maybe improving protections for condo conversion and demolition control to include smaller apartments, and less urban area expansion into our green fields. But after over 2 years of public debate, attending information sessions, and making our views known to staff and council, we would accept this as a fair outcome of the democratic process. Crucially, ROPA 6 kept the countryside line intact, preserving our groundwater, farms, rural natural areas, and the Grand River from the harmful impacts of sprawl. We not only accepted this plan, we championed it. It's hard to get unanimous support for anything these days, and this council achieved that in August 2022. Hold the Line went and provided comments to the Ministry of Housing, as did over 300 members of our community, sending in individual letters urging the province to approve ROPA 6 in its entirety. And we know what came next. In a reckless move, the province unilaterally handed down its decision in April with no right to appeal, forcing huge swaths of extra land to be designated urban, even though it would be several decades before we can even think about building infrastructure out to some of these places. And in southwest Kitchener, the countryside line was breached, with the urban boundary expanding out into the Waterloo Moraine, encircling Big Spring Farm. This was an existential threat to our regional growth management strategy. The province broke through the countryside line, and unfortunately, we heard crickets from this council. Despite a lot of productive, supportive conversations with individual members and staff at both levels of municipal government, you failed to respond to that overreach. You failed to stand up for our countryside line, and it really felt like this council threw in the towel on that one. We still have big questions about the way that the provincial government has made these decisions over the past year, especially after the former minister has resigned in disgrace. Now the provincial government announced it's totally reversing course. Even they realize how much they've eroded public trust. Every decision that they made related to the official plan over the past year is poison. It's now up to you to restore faith in local democracy. Reaffirm your support for ROPA 6, exactly as it was approved unanimously by council just 14 months ago. This is not an opportunity to futz around with more amendments. We want certainty that our regional government will stand by its decisions and defend our countryside line. It's pretty simple. I hope you all decide to earn our trust back. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Please don't go anywhere. I have some colleagues with questions. Councillor Deutschman, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Redmond. Sam, thanks for coming in tonight. I'll have to disagree with respect to the response of this council to what was occurring. The speed with which any response was going to happen may not be as quick as you would have liked, but I have to say, I mean, you know, Councillor McCabe came forward with a motion, and you and I had some email correspondence where we were trying to get an answer back to you. Now, we can't control when a provincial government decides to do a 180 on a dime so quickly and end up with a result that we all appreciated. But if they hadn't done what they did, we would still have been moving forward to try to come up with some response to see what we can do to go back at that. So I just want to reiterate that this council may not move as fast as some would like, but we were certainly moving in that direction. And Councillor McCabe was spearheading that, and we would have been moving something forward if it wasn't for, thankfully, the provincial government recognizing the errors of their way and making the right decision to help us all out. But thanks, I always appreciate your input, and please keep coming out and please keep providing us with your thoughts on the line. You are the countryside line.
So colleagues, I just want to remind all of us that these are questions of clarification. So Councillor Deutschman, maybe if you'd start out with, did you know? That would have been helpful. Councillor McCabe.
Thank you. So, questions to Sam. Thanks for coming in. So, did you know that like the reading that I've seen of the provincial announcement was that the province will reapprove ROPA 6 as approved by regional council unless municipalities request a revision within 45 days. And so it's not just it's ROPA 6 planned for growth, not just to the extent of Minister Clark's boundary expansion. So I just wanted to confirm that you were aware of that.
Thank you for the question, Mayor McCabe. It's my understanding that all municipalities must provide some information to the ministry within 45 days, including what projects are currently already underway with shovels in the ground. I don't believe there are any such projects in Waterloo Region, but I haven't done a detailed look. Part of that is also asking municipalities to provide the province with the appropriate maps. I know that when the minister sent down his decision in April that expanded our countryside line and expanded our urban boundaries, the map that they provide was so blurry and low resolution that we actually couldn't see the details of some of the property lines, and there was days before regional staff actually had accurate information. So this might be a situation where we have more information about what ROPA 6 actually is in terms of detailed GIS than the province does, and they just need that information from us. So that's what I'm hoping Regional Council provides, is clarity and a reaffirmation that ROPA 6 be maintained.
Thank you, Sam. Those are all the questions. The next delegation withdrew, and that was Susan Weber. So our next delegate is Edward Lengyell, in person, I believe. Edward, are you here? Okay. The next delegation has 5 minutes, and it's Kevin Thomason, and Kevin is joining us virtually. Kevin, if you want to turn on your monitor, you have 5 minutes, and you have the floor.
Excellent. If I can comment, I'm dialing in from far north of Ontario and have questionable internet, so I'm coming in with telephone and Zoom at the same time. So if you have issues and can't hear me or anything, please speak up and let me know. I'll assume you can hear me okay.
Yes, we can hear you, Kevin.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you. Regional Chair, Honorable Mayors, Councillors, and guests. My name is Kevin Thomason, and I'm a resident of Wilmot Township and a longtime advocate for our visionary regional official plan. It was such a tremendous victory for our community this week to see the provincial government backtracking and canceling the forced urban boundary expansion that our citizens and community groups have been protesting for months with rallies, lawn signs, phone calls, and thousands of emails. It was tragic months ago to see Minister Clark override the almost unanimous decision of this council and our local municipalities to compromise our progressive, sustainable regional official plan and its focus on complete 15-minute walkable communities, housing affordability, public transit, and farmland protection. For almost 4 years, thousands of people throughout our community provided input on this 30-year future plan that would continue our unique success. Yet Minister Clark unilaterally ordered thousands of hectares of unnecessary and unaffordable urban sprawl, needlessly using up every acre of land within our countryside line designation that was supposed to last for generations. While the Waterloo Region Home Builders Association claims the provincially approved plans were part of an extensive and transparent public and stakeholder consultation process, the minister's decision was final and binding, with no advance knowledge, no public consultation, no First Nations engagement, and he provided no data, rationale, or justification on how he arrived at this decision to go against the decision of this council and open up thousands of acres of our local farmland for development. This process was so bad that even the current minister has been highly critical and feels he must cancel these forced boundary expansions. Citizens are increasingly appalled at the corruption and scandal of the Doug Ford government being revealed in Greenbelt investigations. The CBC broke news today in Hamilton of similar corruption in their forced urban boundary expansion, where the Ford government just copied a developer's submission word for word and approved opening up lands despite significant local citizen opposition and council previously voting against it. We have no idea how the minister chose these lands in Waterloo Region. There is no development land shortage, and we certainly don't want to get embroiled in the provincial corruption. We must do better and can easily avoid this quagmire. This council just approved 14 months ago the Sustainable Regional Official Plan that will meet and even surpass our housing targets without any of these lands and do it more efficiently, more economically, and much faster than having to service and build entire greenfield communities from scratch. We have thousands of development lots already approved. On average, only 9% of the approved lands in Waterloo region actually get developed each year. It isn't in the best public interest to see massive over-designations of development land when every acre is approved for development within the countryside line, whether it's needed or not. It fuels land speculation outside the countryside line, like what we're already seeing, making land less affordable for everyone in the region. We are in a climate crisis, and we can't afford to lose any more farms. We need to be building affordable homes close to the shops, schools, and services where people want to live, as we had already planned in our regional official plan that you've already approved. There will be tremendous pressure from disappointed speculators and developers for more land. However, we can't approve all the land within the countryside line. It destroys the entire concept. Yet, with only 43 days now to respond, to respond to the minister, we don't have time to do all the land needs analysis and proper consultation to choose only some of the lands either. We just spent 4 years and millions of dollars, along with huge amounts of staff and citizen engagement time, doing this land needs analysis and consultation for our visionary regional official plan. To do it again would be absurd and a distraction from more pressing issues. There will be a mandatory 5-year review of the ROP in just 3.5 years, when any adjustments, if needed, can be made with the proper processes. We won't even need any of the land developers are asking for decades, as there's already so many years of land supply approved within our municipalities. We need to move forward with our regional official plan intact and focus on our time and resources on implementing its plans for affordable housing, the missing middle, complete communities, and solutions for our climate crisis. We already have the visionary regional official plan we need for the future that was so overwhelmingly endorsed by our citizens, community groups, organizations, businesses, and area municipalities. Please request that our regional official plan be approved by the minister intact with no changes, as this council so strongly approved it last year. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. We have a question. Councillor McCabe, go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you for appearing before us, Kevin, from wherever you are. It looks like a nice hotel room or something. And thanks for outlining your concerns with this. My question is, like, as far as what I've heard, and I know we need more details, but as far as what I heard from Minister Calandra in his press conference was that that things, as I said to Mr. Nabi, like things would revert to the original official plan, except where projects had started. Are you aware of, like, so that decision around the region's official plan was made, I think it's April 11th, 2023. So are you aware of any projects that had started and that would be impacted, like within this time frame that we're talking about, April till today?
Yeah, great question, Mayor McCabe. No, these lands that developers are talking about are so far out, we won't be needing them till for decades. It's 20, 30 plus years out. We will have countless opportunities to revisit things here. Every 5 years, we have to review our regional official plan, and we can make adjustments along the way if needed. And these lands are so far distant, meaning there's so many subdivisions and everything between them that need to have the services and infrastructure built and that sort of thing, that there's no way any of this could be underway at this point.
Thank you. Thanks again for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And thank you for joining us, Kevin. The next delegation is Francisco Escudero. Francisco, are you here? Next delegation registered after the deadline, so you get 3 minutes. Bernadette Patterson. Welcome, Bernadette. You have the floor and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, regional chairs and councillors. I'm not a public speaker. I did come in concern with the proposed project for the Kinsmen Centre. I too understood that it was going to be a homeless shelter as part, and So there's been a lot of miscommunication in the area, I would think, because I've heard it from more than one person. So I'm not sure. I do think that we need some more communication from the city, the community, the city to let us know. We all work. A lot of times I don't get to see the news. I don't have time to look at my computer. So I'm not sure if there's any way that you can send maybe letters out to the community to inform us more, because as you can see, we're here with the wrong information. Because my concern was the homeless center. I live right in the Nantucket Eagle Valley development, and I was concerned with the schools and the retirement homes that are there, the playgrounds, if there was such a homeless shelter to come in that area. And I'm not opposed to homeless shelters, but where they are put, that's my belief. But thank you for listening and taking in my concerns.
So Bernadette, thank you for coming in, but don't run away. We have a question. Councillor Deutschman.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Redmond. Ms. Patterson, thanks for coming in. And I was going to ask that question. I was just curious where the source of the information was that you were getting that said it was going to be a homeless shelter. Was it Facebook or social media, perhaps? I was just curious about that.
No, I've actually heard it from other people, not just on social media. It was on social media as well, but in also talking with people face to face.
Okay.
So it wasn't just from social media.
In your neighborhood, you mean, people face to face?
There were some in my neighborhood, and there was some actually in the Preston area, but not in my direct neighborhood.
Okay, all right. Thanks for coming in, though.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next delegation again has 3 minutes because they registered after the cutoff, and that's Chris Patterson.
It's in Appendix B is where he found it. It's in Appendix B is where it says it's going to be a homeless shelter. Okay, Appendix B.
So welcome, Chris. You have 3 minutes, and the floor is yours.
Good evening, everybody. I also am not a public speaker. I'm a neighbor in the community. We have a lot of concerns with the proposed build at 651 Concession. Appendix B is where it was stated. We've all been traumatized by things that happened in our community in the past. I'm not going to go into it, but we were forced out of our other home. We're into this home now. We're quite comfortable. The traffic in that area is crazy. I don't know how we could possibly ambulances dispatching from that area through all those children. We've got thousands of kids walking those streets. We access from the other end of the neighborhood because we can't get in and out on concession. It's multiple times through the day. It's not just once. I have no idea how we're going to house anybody safely in that zone. I'm a taxpayer. I've been living in Cambridge since I've been grade 3. Most of my life, I've seen lots of growth, most of it good, some of it bad. I personally think this is a bad idea. I think we should use that land for development for either a school application, possibly grocery store, something that's a little bit less impact than what you guys are proposing. So thanks for hearing me out.
Thank you, Chris. We do have a question. Councillor Deutschman.
Thank you, Chair Redmond. So just to clarify, did you know that the report does not say homeless shelter? And I appreciate Nate's reference to Schedule B, which uses the word shelter, but it's not in the context of a homeless shelter. It's clearly, the investigation was either affordable housing or paramedic services. But as indicated by Councillor Craig, we'll have no problem amending the motion so that it clearly indicates no homeless shelter, which was never the intention. Did you know that? Thank you for coming in.
Okay, but was there ever a traffic study done? Do we have any numbers on how much more we're going to invite into that area?
So we're really not going to get into debate between the delegates and the councillors. So thank you very much, Chris. I'm going to actually, there are no more questions, so you're free to sit down. And I'm going to ask Peter Sweeney, who's the commissioner, just to provide a little bit of comment So this is a question of staff just to talk about the process and how the community can become engaged, or at what point they do in this process.
Thank you, Chair Redmond. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, isolating at home. Yes, just to reiterate, I guess I would point from a staff perspective, what we are putting forward is a request for direction from council to explore the possible reallocation of this asset into something that we can serve the community. So clearly we have put paramedic services and affordable housing at the top of that list. But at this point, what we're just asking for is the opportunity to go and explore how we might bring forward a new use for that site. And so no decisions are being made this evening in terms of the final use of that site. And that process would not only engage our colleagues at the City of Cambridge, but also include community consultation engagement in that process. And we are probably 2 or 3 years out on this process. So there's lots of time. And this is just the very beginning to give us the direction to go and start having those conversations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sweeney, and thank you all delegations for coming. That is all the delegations who were registered. I'm going to go back to declarations of pecuniary interest under the Conflict of Interest Act and ask Councillor Harris if you would like to speak.
Yes, I would actually. I would like to. I declared a conflict of interest on the closed committee, last committee, noting that I'm doing that again tonight due to the nature of my employment with Vandal Construction for item 12.2.3, item 2.1. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, the next agenda item is minutes of the previous meeting. I'm looking for a mover and a seconder for a motion, and these minutes are 9.1 to 9.11 on your agenda. If I could have a mover. Moved by Councillor Harris, seconded by Councillor Leggett. Please use your e-scribe to vote. Thank you. That is carried, colleagues. Next agenda item are communications. They're listed on your agenda 10.1 to 10.6, and there are other communications that you have received electronically for your information. They have been circulated. Are there any questions or comments? It's basically for your information. Councillor Deutschmann.
Thank you, Chair Redmond. I note that there's correspondence in here from Joseph Pisano, who is in his correspondence responding to a newspaper article that referenced a letter from Chief Crowell regarding a motion that was brought forward that we're going to be dealing with. And I would like to have, since that letter was circulated to council members and also provided to the Waterloo Record, I'm asking that that letter be made part of the communications and public package.
I think that's already been indicated to the author, so that's fine, Councillor Deutschmann.
So it is part of the, I wasn't sure, I haven't seen it listed in any agenda package.
It is part of the agenda package. It is 10.3, Correspondent Joseph Pisano.
No, I'm talking about Chief Crowell's letter to council. I see Mr. Pisano's letter.
Sorry.
But he's referencing Chief Crowell's letter that was circulated to council members and provided to the Waterloo Region Record, but has not been made part of the public package. And I'm getting requests for this letter that people are seeing in reference in other areas. So I'm asking that that letter be made part of the public record, because I do not note that it's written as personal or confidential or any other item. So I think it's important that that letter be part of the public record.
I'm going to have to say that I'll take that under advisement at this point in time, and I'll get back to you.
By next council meeting?
Sure.
Thank you.
Councillor Foxton.
The correspondence are to regional councillors. If this letter was to an individual or to the record, I don't know if we have the right to put that within our minutes because it was not to regional council.
Thank you, Councillor Foxton, and I'm taking it under advisement because I will check into what authority we have as a council to ask for that to be made public. So I'll get back to you with the outcome of that inquiry. Next agenda item is motion to go into committee of the whole to consider reports. I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Nowak, seconded by Councillor Hunick. Please use your e-scribe to vote. Councillor Vrbanovic, you're indicating that you're in favor, correct? Thank you. That is carried, colleagues. The first report is a finance report. Mr. Dyer, Commissioner of Corporate Services and Chief Financial Officer, is available for questions. I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. Reports are, do I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Erb, seconded by Councillor Foxton. These reports are, one is on Bill 134, Affordable Homes and Good Jobs Act 2023, and that's directing the Regional Municipality of Waterloo endorse and submit to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing comments on the proposed regulatory matters pertaining to development charges, and that report's dated October 25th, 2023. And the second motion is that the Region of Waterloo and Facilities Building Security Upgrade, a proposal for fire monitoring for Canada for P2023-6, Region of Waterloo Water and Facilities Building Security Upgrades with an estimated amount of $13,713,069.75 plus applicable taxes. And that is a report dated October 25th, 2023. So if you would please use your e-scribe to vote. That is carried, colleagues. I seem to have overlooked Councillor Shantz, who had indicated she wanted to speak. Go ahead, Councillor Shantz.
I just had a question on the Bill 123 report. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. Do we have any more information or commitment on being made whole for the DC charges that we will potentially lose with some of these changes? I think, and I read this report through twice, I found it a little bit confusing, and I read another report on it as well. So I think that this is more, it will require more DC supports than what the current legislation shows.
So through the chair, the answer to the question of do we have any more details on how municipalities would be made whole, the answer to that is no. We understand that there are discussions, underway with respect to what process might be in place, how the calculations would be done, and how such funding would flow, but no indication at this point about what that will look like.
But there has been some talk about being made whole, or are they're not at this point saying, well, we're on our own to collect those DCs from property taxes, which is really the default position, right?
Yeah, through the chair, I mean, I think what we have is the language from the minister in the correspondence, which probably goes back to the spring of this year. That's been, I think, the one and only piece of formal correspondence from the ministry with respect to being made whole.
Councillor Foxton.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. And Mr. Dye, you can correct me if I'm wrong, which I usually am. Bill 33, I was shocked by what they're presenting. Did they actually, does it actually say that affordable is 80% of market value? Did I read that wrong? And I'll tell you why, because of the house, that means a $2 million house can be bought for $1.6 million. To me, that's not affordable.
So through the chair, Bill 23 had
33.
I'm sorry?
33. Was it 23? I'm sorry.
I think it was 23. Bill 23 had originally proposed that definition for affordable. Bill 134 is taking a somewhat different approach, I think based on some feedback that the ministry has received about what they were proposing under Bill 23, and that's what and that's what's out for consultation at this point. So, we'll see where that lands, and then I think the next thing we're then waiting for is some further clarification on what the intent of attainable housing is, and how those calculations will happen, and what the DC treatment will be at that point.
And just for the public, I'm really pleased with the staff report, and I think it came across quite strongly that we have to do better. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Foxton, and thank you, Mr. Dyer. The next agenda item is committee report, strategic planning and budget summary. And the first item, I'm not going to read all the whereases, but now therefore be it resolved that the Region of Waterloo formally requests the Province of Ontario to commit to a new municipal fiscal funding framework for the Region of Waterloo in order to maintain sustainable service delivery and sound infrastructure within the Region of Waterloo. And next, that the Region of Waterloo requests the Province of Ontario and Government of Canada undertake an open and transparent review of current municipal fiscal framework in order to ensure long-term sustainability. And that this letter and motion be circulated to all Ontario municipalities and ask them to pass similar motions, as well as to members of Parliament and members of Provincial Parliament, the municipality, AMO and FCM, and be circulated to the Prime Minister, Federal Minister of Finance, the Minister of Ontario, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and the Ontario Minister of Finance, requesting a committee or task force be formed to address this issue. Councillor Hunick? And that's seconded by Councillor Harris. Councillor Craig, would you like to make a comment?
Well, Madam Chair, I could speak for quite a while on this, but I won't. But I do have an amendment once this is on the floor.
It's on the floor now.
Okay, so I'd like to have the amendment put up, because I can't remember the exact wording.
One moment, and we will post that.
And that the Region of Waterloo invite all the area MPPs to a public forum in early 2024 to discuss the depreciating fiscal situation and the need for more immediate assistance. And I've made that very loose, okay? What I'm trying to say here is the main motion is excellent. And it says everything and it shows us all the problems and the public of what we're facing in terms of the fiscal structure of municipalities, the inability of municipalities to financially move forward in the way that our constituents want us. It talks about the $150 million that we shouldn't be paying, that the federal and provincial government should be paying. It talks about the homeless problem, the addiction problem, and these are all very serious, and they're only getting worse. And I think, as we all know, and we've been through this many, many times, when you send these kind of motions to Queen's Park, they just end up somewhere with not a lot of action. And I think the chair is on the right track, but I think the second part of this is to set up a cooperative corroboration with our local MPPs, to sit down in a half day and have them hear from our regional staff on finances, health and social services, planning, and all the aspects of the difficulties we're facing, and to have that discussion and to move forward in a way that we can work together as a regional community with our MPPs in dealing with some of these issues. Because these are enormous. And in all my years of experience, I've never seen something in terms of being so overwhelmingly comprehensive in terms of difficulties that this municipality is facing. And I think by talking to the MPPs, and this is not a shooting gallery, it's a matter of talking to them and asking for them to understand the issues, the problems, and to work with us in a cooperative way to work on these things as we move into the future. How it's set up, I would leave to the regional chair. When it comes to pass, leave to the regional chair. But I would expect the area MPPs to join us in a forum to discuss the problems we're having as a municipality in delivering the answers to the services or to the concerns that people and that all of us are having. So,
okay, I see Councillor Foxton would like to second it. Councillor Hunick?
Chair Redmond, I'm of the belief that the motion is stronger without a second half, and I don't know why we would need a motion to do what Councillor Craig is suggesting.
Councillor Craig, did you hear the question?
I didn't hear it, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I think it was more of a comment than a
thank you.
Question.
Was it a nice comment?
I think Councillor Hunick felt that it was somewhat already incorporated in the motion, but if for further clarity you would like to add that amendment.
In the motion. We're just going to send in a piece of paper to Queen's Park. I'm saying let's have a one-on-one discussion with our area MPPs. Okay, and I think we have to send this home to them that we got some enormous problems. We need help.
Thank you. Councillor Deutschmann.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just wondering, I'm curious why it wouldn't also include the area MPs since we're sending a piece of paper to the Prime Minister's office as well.
Well, I think you take it one step at a time. It's not that I haven't thought of that, but that becomes an enormous situation to bring in everybody at once. I think we do the area MPPs, then we do the area MPs at a later time.
So 5 versus 10. 10 is too much?
Well, you can amend the amendment.
Is it friendly?
I'll take it as a friendly.
Okay, I'll amend.
Okay, so in addition, we would have a round table with members of federal parliament as well as provincial parliament.
Yeah, as you determine, Chair Redmond, that's fine.
You. Councillor Foxton.
Thank you. And just to make it noted that most MPPs do not see the motions. They never get to know what we've sent. And this way, we're sending it and we're also meeting with them and making them well aware of the situation.
Councillor James.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Chair Redmond. Just I don't know if it's a question, comment, but I think there's an element here that requires the area municipalities. I think the motion as it currently stands is okay. But I also think if we're going to go down this path, is it a broader forum that needs to happen? And I'm thinking about something like an all-council meeting, and if there's potentially one scheduled in the near future for something like this too, and to have a full kind of presentation with Commissioner Dyer and potentially the area elected officials as well. Just a thought. But at the end of the day, I think the motion is good as is. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to suggest we need some guardrails on these evolving amendments, and I don't think any of them are hostile, and I think lots of them are great ideas. So if you could just offer that up as a possible element to when and how we would do this, Councillor James, that would be really helpful. But we have an amendment, we have an amended amendment to the motion, and we need to move forward. So I'm going to recognize Councillor Vrbanovic, Leggett, and Councillor Foxton, and then I'm going to call the question. So Councillor Vrbanovic.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I do appreciate the motion that my colleague, Councillor Craig, is bringing forward. But I think we need to I think we need to have some clarity around how motions are handled and the advocacy that I know you're doing, that the others who sit on this council that are members, that are heads of council are doing regularly with MPPs and MPs as part of the work, and also the members of this council who participated in some of the discussion as we had our meetings at AMO as an example, as part of our ongoing advocacy work here at the region. I think Mayor Craig or Councillor Craig will recall from his time as mayor that this kind of advocacy did happen regularly. He was part of it in working with the other orders of government. And I'd like to suggest that, I think the most effective way has been to work through those channels. I know that, for example, and you spoke to it recently, you participated in a session that the Federation of Canadian Municipalities hosted at the end of September around the broader piece of work that's been doing, that FCM has been doing around the whole fiscal structure and the time for a need for a new arrangement. We talked about it earlier this week during our big city mayors meeting at FCM, and I believe it was also on the agenda of the OBCM meeting last week that Councillor Singh, City Councillor Singh, attended on my behalf. And so I guess what I'm saying is I don't think I can support the motion in its form right now. I think we really should continue with our efforts in that regard, and focus the energies in that manner.
Thank you, Councillor Vrbanovic. I'm going to go to Councillor Leggett.
I guess the only concern, thank you, Madam Chair, the only concern I have with the amendment is that we need to think it out more clearly when we do put something like that together, because I see inviting MPs and MPPs, and particularly from different parties, it could evolve into just accusations and not taking responsibility for what they should have been doing and haven't been doing. And I don't know that it would, I'm concerned it won't be productive, and we have to have it being productive. So somebody had said something about guardrails. Well, how about parameters on how this would be put together so that it actually gives us information and gives the public some meat to grab onto as to who's not doing what and what they should be doing.
Okay, I'm going to go to Councillor Deutschman. That was somewhat of a rhetorical observation and comment, I trust. Councillor Leggett, right? You weren't expecting an answer. I'm going to go to Councillor Deutschman because he gave the friendly amendment, and then I'm going to call the question. Councillor Deutschman.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Redmond. I think this is actually an excellent opportunity to allow us to make a very forceful case and presentation to our local MPs and MPPs. I can recall previously when I was, before I was mayor of North Dumfries, we had local advocacy with Gary Goodyear, our MP, that resulted in us being able to secure through his efforts, because he was well aware of what was going on at ground level, the funding that we obtained for our community center. And so he was an excellent advocate. I appreciate, this is not to take away from any of the other efforts that occur, and I know Councillor Vrbanovic is very active at many levels in terms of advocating for this community and does an excellent job at doing that. But I think this is a very forceful way for us to really make the case to bring this home to our local MPs and MPPs so that when they're at Queen's Park or Parliament Hill, that they're able to advocate because they truly understand and have heard directly from us about the serious financial consequences, the serious situations that we're facing. And I'm not too concerned about the liberal, conservative, NDP part of this, because I think it's a great opportunity for everyone to park their partisanship at the door and demonstrate that there's a real willingness to work together to try and get something resolved. And I think this is an innovative way to make the case. And I think we should give it a try, not going in with, obviously, if there's going to be concerns about how it's done or what comes out of it, we can learn from that. But sometimes the new is a bit difficult, but I think this, I truly support this motion from Councillor Craig, and I think we should embrace it and take it as an advantage and an opportunity for us to collectively make the case to our members, because we're all working together for the taxpayers, the population, the people of Waterloo Region. It's all for their benefit that we're doing this, and I think it could be very positive. Thank you.
So, Councillor Hunick, did I miss you?
No, but I just need clarification from you. I'm prepared to support the original motion, but not the amendment to the motions. If you could just clarify when we're voting on what, that would be super helpful.
Thank you very much. So we will clarify. I don't know, do we have it written? So right now we're dealing with Councillor Craig's amended motion that reads, and that the Region of Waterloo invite all area MPPs to a public forum in early 2024 to discuss the depreciating fiscal situation and the need for more immediate assistance. My understanding was that that had a friendly amendment that said as well MPs, correct? So that is what we will be voting on. And colleagues, if I can, and if you will indulge the chair for a moment, I'm just going to say I think all of these efforts are worthwhile. I would tell you that none of us know what we don't know, and dedicated as the MPPs and MPs are to our community, they see our community through a different lens than we do. So if we can go to them with solutions rather than just problems, because governments always like solutions, I would say that all of these conversations could be very worthwhile. So it's been moved and seconded. I'm now going to call the question. Thank you. So we are now back to the main motion, and it has been amended. And Councillor Foxton, did you want to comment?
I was going to say exactly what you said, is that if we go with just complaints without some way of having solutions, we've hit people like deer in the headlights. So we have to come through with some solutions, but we have amazing staff that can help us out with that. Thank you.
So the main motion has been moved and seconded. So now we're voting on the amended main motion. So please use your e-scribe to vote. Colleagues, that is carried. Thank you very much. We now will I will entertain a vote to improve the summary of the Planning and Works Committee on October 10th, 2023. This pertains to a specific change to the regional official plan. It's an amendment, and it's very specific in the township of Wilmot, located at 63 Benjamin Street in New Dundee, a rural settlement area, which will be developed for a maximum of 6 lots using tertiary water treatment systems subject to all other policies of the plan. And the next part is changes to the GRT advertising policy, and then within consultation in the 2024 budget discussions, the region, there will be regional information campaigns will not be included in the limit for bus wraps, and that a funding source and process be identified, and that the municipality of Waterloo, regional municipality of Waterloo, continue the Truth and Reconciliation bus wrap until February 29th, 2024. And third, that the regional municipality of Waterloo approves a recommended design of physically separated two-way cycle tracks along the west side of Duke Street, Regional Road 63 between Francis Street and Water Street, built by the City of Kitchener, described in a report dated October 10th, 2023. If I could have a mover and a seconder. That was a précis move by Councillor Vrbanovic, seconded by Councillor Leggett. Please use your e-scribe to vote. Colleagues, that is carried. The next agenda item is to approve the summary from closed committee meeting, which was held on October 10th, 2023. If I could have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Foxton, seconded by Councillor Nowak. And there are 3 bullet points under here. One is having the Regional Municipality of Waterloo approve the settlement with 250 King Street, Inc. in relationship to a partial expropriation from the lands municipally known as 255 King Street, Cambridge, whereby the region pays compensation in the amount of $475,000 plus interest and reasonable costs as determined by the regional solicitor in accordance with the Expropriation Act. And the next agenda item has 3 parts. Approve the minutes of settlement in relation to the development charge complaint of 2560390 Ontario Inc. for a condominium development at 462 and 464 Columbia Street West, City of Waterloo. The complainant is to obtain the discounted development charge rate in the amount of $675,275. Sorry, that's $678,275 for a rental housing development pursuant to the Development Charge Act. And the next point is that the region be authorized to enter into a similar and other agreements for condominium developers where the developer asserts that they had intended as a rental housing development pursuant to the Development Charges Act to the satisfaction of the Chief Financial Officer and the regional solicitor. And thirdly, to direct staff to prepare a bylaw to amend bylaw 22-018, being a bylaw to authorize and govern the delegation of signing authority on behalf of the Regional Municipality of Waterloo, and to repeal bylaw 18-036 to include execution of such agreements. So it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please indicate with your e-scribe. That is carried, colleagues. The next agenda item is Administration and Finance Summary. A mover and a seconder. There is one major motion, and it's the Regional Municipality of Waterloo take the following action with respect to the regionally owned property located at 651 Concession Road, Cambridge, formerly Kinsmen Children's Centre, as set out in a report dated October 10th, 2023. A, direct staff to explore in consultation with necessary regional departments and city staff the concept of redeveloping the regionally owned property located at 651 Concession Road, Cambridge, with regional multi-use building including paramedic services, affordable housing, and potentially other integrated social services. And B, direct staff to proceed with applying for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Sustainable Affordable Housing Study Grant for this property. Now, I understand that Councillor Craig and Councillor Deutschman was willing to second this. Councillor Craig, do you want to talk about an amendment you'd like to propose?
Just very quickly, Madam Chair, and I thank you through you, just to point out that this area is not the right area to put a homeless shelter. I know it very well. I've been in the the addiction center across the road from Coronation School. I've been in Coronation School. I've been in all the areas there, and certainly it's not the right place, and it's not, and it has upset a lot of people in terms of, I think, somewhat the misinformation that's has gone out there. So all I would like to do, Madam Chair, is to add to the bottom of A part where it says, with a regional multi-use building including paramedic services, affordable housing, and potentially other integrated social service offerings, excluding any proposal for a homeless shelter. Just that phrase.
Thank you for that. We'll put that up on the screen. And Councillor Deutschman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to defer to Councillor Leggett, who would like to second this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Leggett, you're going to second this motion? Okay. I see no further discussion, so we will. So now we're back to Councillor Deutschman.
Sorry. I just wanted to reiterate this site in the plan that we received, the report we received, was never intended to be a homeless shelter. And I'm glad that Councillor Craig has brought this motion to clarify that more, because obviously that view has percolated through Cambridge, and we certainly don't want to raise any concerns. But, you know, shelters are important, but this was never a location that was to be considered for a shelter. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to put the motion up as amended. So basically, we are just adding the phrase excluding proposed homeless shelter, right? Excluding any proposal for a homeless shelter. Okay, so Councillor James.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Chair. I just want to reiterate too, because of the ways in which the miscommunication is happening, and I know Commissioner Sweeney spoke to this, just to reinforce the public consultation, the process, what that will look like, and getting back to council on that. Because, you know, just looking at the number of emails we received around the notion of the shelter, I think it's critical for us to at least know where in the process going forward community will be involved in this discussion.
Thank you. So I'm now going to call the question on the amendment. It's been moved and seconded. Please use your e-scribe to vote. That is carried, colleagues. So now we are back to the main motion as amended. Councillor James, do you want to speak again, or is that a legacy request?
Yeah, that's a legacy request.
Thanks. We're conferring here. Thank you, colleagues. So we're moving on. Strategic Planning and Budget Summary, October 18th, 2023. If I could have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor James, seconded by Councillor Williams. Councillor Vrbanovic.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm wondering if, and I do want to thank Councillor James for bringing this motion forward, but I do want to move an amendment with respect to the date, and I appreciate the intent that she's bringing in terms of giving as much notice as possible in terms of any amendments that that council might have, and I certainly support that. I think it's important both in terms of transparency with the public as well as giving staff time to consider them. However, our normal practice for a meeting that's happening on December 13th would be that any motions would need to be into the clerk by 9 a.m., I believe, 7 days ahead of time, which would be December the 6th. I also note that our last budget day prior to final budget is November 29th, with the potential for it going over to November 30th. And so I think to expect that members of council would bring motions forward before we actually have our second last budget day and have the opportunity to at least have the weekend to consider the results of that meeting and any motions we might want to bring forward. You know, I think it's probably creating an unrealistic expectation for a good budget outcome. I realize that there is the option that 2/3 of council could consider a motion on the 13th. But what I would like to suggest is that we amend the date to Monday, December the 4th at 12 noon. That would give council the weekend to consider any final, you know, factors after having budget day on the Wednesday and Thursday, and still give, you know, lots of notice of it being public, and more than a week actually, which would be the norm. So I would.
So you're moving the amendment from the date being for the final date for having amendments from November the 29th to December the 4th?
December 4th at noon, yes.
Do we have a seconder? Moved by Councillor, seconded by Councillor Craig. Any further discussion? Okay, so we will be voting on the motion that talks about a deadline for getting motions in as part of the budget, but it will be not November 29th, 2023, but December 4th, 2023 at noon. Councillor Vrbanovic? Okay. Everybody's clear on what we're voting on?
Just a point of clarification.
Councillor Deutschman.
I mean, as I read the motion, doesn't the last point, the fourth bullet, talk about the ability to submit a motion on December 13th?
If I can respond, yes, it does, Councillor Deutschman, but it would require 2/3 of council to allow that motion to be considered. And again, I think it's in the interest of transparency to have folks try to do something.
I'm good. Yep. I missed, sorry, I apologize. I missed the dispensing with the notice part.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to please use your e-scribe to vote. So we're voting on the amendment, which was moved by Councillor Vrbanovic, seconded by Councillor Craig, and it changes November the 29th as the last day to submit changes to the amendments to the budget to December 4th at noon. So colleagues, that is carried. Now we're voting on the main motion as amended. We need a mover and a seconder. We have a Councillor Hunick, seconded by Councillor Leggett. Please use your e-scribe to vote. That is carried, colleagues. Next agenda item, 12.3, is the Board of Health Respiratory Season Update, and I will turn the floor over to Dr. Wong. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair Redmond. Good evening, councillors. So we have entered fall respiratory season with COVID-19 and other common seasonal viruses like enterovirus and rhinovirus circulating at moderate levels across the province, with lower levels of RSV, also known as respiratory syncytial virus, and influenza at this time. As a result, public health is seeing an expected increase in respiratory illnesses both in the community and congregate living settings, such as long-term care facilities and retirement homes. Public health continues to work closely with health sector partners to support these facilities with infection prevention and control, best practices to prevent and reduce disease transmission. Our regional COVID-19 wastewater data remains at elevated levels, with wastewater signals dominated by XBB sublineages. Those are the most recent variants. We expect that this may soon plateau based on what is happening in other parts of the province. Public health continues to provide clinics for high-risk individuals using the updated XBB vaccine. Flu vaccines are also available through these clinics to those who are getting their COVID-19 vaccine. We have also started using the Pfizer XBB vaccine, which was recently approved by Health Canada. There is no preference for one product over the other, both Moderna and Pfizer, as both provide better protection against circulating strains of COVID-19 than previous vaccines. Vaccine distribution of the initial supply that we've received to date has concentrated on providing COVID-19 vaccine to those living in long-term care, retirement homes, and congregate living settings. On October the 30th, COVID and flu vaccines will be available to all eligible persons at local public health clinics, as well as participating pharmacies and healthcare providers. Clinic appointments will continue to be posted to the provincial booking system, as no walk-in appointments at this time will be available. Starting October 30th, and this is the final update, we will also begin sending notifications to parents as reminders to update their children's immunization records or ensure their children receive the required vaccines according to the Immunization of School Pupils Act. Public Health continues to offer routine and catch-up immunization clinics to ensure that those who are not able to access routine vaccines through family physicians or other community health providers have access to publicly funded vaccines. A report will be coming in November to provide a more detailed update about our activities to support compliance with the Act. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wong, as always, for a very informative update. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will move on. And again, thank you for that update. Other matters under the Committee of the Whole is a collaborative funding agreement with REAP Solutions, the Sustainable Waterloo Region for Climate Action WR. And this is a motion that authorizes the Regional Municipality of Waterloo to authorize the region's Commissioner of Planning, Development and Legislative Services to enter into a new collaborative agreement with the Waterloo Regional Green Solutions operating as REAP Green Solutions, a Sustainable Waterloo Region, to operate the Climate Action WR program for a 5-year period as outlined in a report dated October 25th, 2023 to the satisfaction of the regional solicitor. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Nowak, seconded by Councillor Foxton. Are there any questions? We have our Solicitor Graham Walsh in attendance if anyone has any questions.
I do have a question.
So I don't see anybody. I did hear you have a question. Oh, Councillor McKay.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure. Sorry, I know my mic's not great. I just wanted to confirm, because there was direction to staff given a couple of months, or in August, late August, about taking this, having REAP and Climate Action Waterloo Region return as part of the budget process with a request for some additional funding to support the work they do, given the importance, of our need to address the climate crisis. So I just wanted to double check that agreeing to this tonight doesn't preclude that, because that was something that was discussed back in August.
I believe Mr. Regier is online and he can maybe answer that.
Yeah, for you, Chair Redmond, this would not preclude requests from one of the organizations for additional funding to be considered in the budget process. The report that you have before you tonight is really just a housekeeping matter to ensure that we have a clear resolution dealing specifically with REAP Green Solutions. The resolution, unfortunately, in August did not accommodate or did not mention both of the organizations separately. So this is just to clarify that matter for the record.
Councillor McCabe?
Okay. Thank you.
I'm assuming that answered your question, Councillor. We can't hear you anymore. Oh, she said thank you. Great. Okay, thank you very much. So it's been moved and seconded. Please use your e-scribe to vote. Colleagues, that is carried. The next agenda item is a motion for the Committee of the Whole to rise and Council to resume. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Harris, seconded by Councillor Hunick. Please use your e-scribe to vote. And you're voting that the Committee of the Whole rise and Council resume. That is carried, colleagues. I now would entertain a motion to adopt the proceedings of the Committee of the Whole. If I could have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Craig, seconded by Councillor Nowak. Please use your e-scribe to vote on adopting the proceedings of the Committee of the Whole. Councillor Harris, have you voted on this? Thank you. That is carried, colleagues. We have no motions, no notices of motion, no unfinished business, other business, questions. We now need a motion to enact. Oh, Councillor Vrbanovic, you have a question.
Keep turning myself on and then it turns off. Thanks, Madam Chair. And I'm not sure if Mr. Getsky is on virtually. No, so then maybe I'll direct the questions to Mr. Lochner, but not necessarily expecting that you'll have the answers today. But I'm following up on behalf of Councillor Schneider, who represents, many of you know, Ward 2 in the City of Kitchener, and I know he's had an opportunity to speak with some of you concerning the public meeting that took place earlier this week pertaining to the proposed grade 7 to 12 school that is going to be built at, or they're hoping will be built at 20 Woolner Trail and Fairway Road in the City of Kitchener. So it's basically the last roadway before you hit the stretch that ultimately takes you over the bridge over the Grand River and into Woolwich Township. And there was a public meeting, and the school will certainly be a significant change to the neighborhood. The residents that attended that meeting, while they have some concerns, and I'll speak to those in a moment, actually aren't opposed to the school going there. Folks will recall that there was some difficulties around the opening of Lackner Woods School, and this council's dealt with some of those issues at the corner of Lackner and Fisher Hallman. And we've had delegations, and we're trying to address issues there. The residents in question are really looking both for the city and the region to take some proactive steps in advance of or in conjunction with the zone change to commit to addressing some of the traffic concerns at the front end so that we don't have these problems afterwards. And so I applaud them for bringing them forward and for Councillor Schneider to bring them forward so that we could potentially, give some direction. On the city end of things, some of the follow-up that's coming out of the meeting is looking at prohibition of stopping along portions of Woolner Trail, prohibiting parking on certain sides of the street, changing the maximum speed limit, and so on. From a regional perspective, there's really two main issues, Mr. Lochner, if you can take away, and we can then explore the best way to address this. The first one would be to lower the speed limit to 50 kilometers an hour on Fairway Road to 400 meters to the east of Woolner Trail Fairway Road, Old Zeller Drive roundabout. And this is not unlike what we've done on Homer Watson Drive, for example, to deal with the speed issues there. Because of some of the challenges and the problems we had, especially with all the students using that area. So addressing it proactively and at the front end. And secondly, to consider a PXO crossing over Fairway Road at the intersection of Eden Oak Trail. So I'll email this to you so you have it, Mr. Lochner. But I wanted to raise it here. As I said, I do know that Councillor Schneider has begun to have some conversations with a few of the Kitchener councillors already, and I'm sure he'll be reaching out to some others. But I think between the city and the region, if we can address these issues proactively, the concerns of the neighborhood will be addressed, and it won't complicate a zone change for a much needed school in that part of the city. And just for everyone's information, this is a Catholic 7 to 12 school, and it's actually a change in their model because, as you know, up till now they've only done K to 8s. And so they're going to actually go K to 6s and then make this school a 7 to 12. So it'll be a junior high and high going forward.
So thanks, Councillor Vrbanovic. Mr. Lochner will take this away, but I'm going to venture a guess that even Mr. Getsky could not probably have answered an intervention that detailed. So I think it's really important. Our staff will talk to the City of Kitchener staff, and I would imagine we should probably involve the school board as well. So we'll take that away and have our staff deal with it.
That's great. Thank you, Chair Redmond.
Madam Chair, are we at other business?
We are in other, we jumped over other business to questions, but Councillor Erb, you go right ahead.
Yeah, I did. I'm having trouble with my system tonight, and I wasn't following. Sorry, so I apologize. So it's now been 4 months since the hybrid shelter on Erbs Road has been in operation, and from all reports, it's been working reasonably well. And when the site was open, we committed to coming back and doing some kind of review to see how it was functioning. And I'd like to, given the positive outcomes of the last 4 months on Erbs Road, I'd like to ask Council that we give direction to staff to officially begin looking at potential future sites in the region for hybrid shelters. Funding for a future site is in the 23-24 budget, which we haven't dealt with yet. And so while acknowledging we haven't approved it, it might seem like we're getting the cart before the horse and something like this. However, I want to remind my colleagues that were on the previous council and this current council how long it took to find a site and to move ahead with these shelters. It's the first thing we need is a site. And so I'd like us to give direction to staff to officially begin looking at options for various sites in the region. What we cannot do, though, I think, in this process is overlook the long-term goal of providing permanent housing for people. But given the crisis that we have, I think we need to begin looking at sites and try and get out in front of this as soon as we can. So I'm asking for council to give direction to staff to officially begin looking for sites in the region.
Thank you, Councillor Erb. You just answered the question I had. Well, this is basically giving direction to staff to pursue sites.
Yes.
In the plural. Councillor Vrbanovic, are you on this issue, or is that a legacy? Okay. Councillor Deutschman, is it on this issue?
Yes, on this issue, Chair Redmond. I appreciate what Councillor Erb is saying. I certainly endorse that completely. However, Mr. Sweeney, Commissioner Sweeney is coming back with a plan to end chronic homelessness or what have you. And it was my understanding that this issue that Councillor Erb has just raised was going to be part of that consideration. And so I would prefer to wait to hear what Commissioner Sweeney and his team are presenting. And if it is devoid or lacking in some area, then certainly let's talk about giving direction at that time. And I find this is maybe jumping ahead of staff in their work that they're putting together something for us.
Well, I think Mr. Sweeney has indicated to council on a number of times that in the budget, he was going to include something for another site in 24. So I don't think that comes as any surprise. What I'm asking for is that staff begin looking at options for various sites in the region, not if we're going to have one or not.
So Peter Sweeney, I believe, is on. Peter, do you want to comment on whether this direction is helpful?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Chair. You know, to Councillor Deutschman's comment, yes, we are bringing forward a comprehensive overview of how to begin the implementation of the Plan to End Chronic Homelessness on November the 7th. And that being said, we have publicly stated many times, and it is my belief and my staff's belief that a second hybrid shelter will indeed be part of that, those recommendations coming forward. And any amount of time that we could make up to start exploring the locations for a potential hybrid shelter would certainly be helpful. So yes, in fact, some sort of ahead of that that doesn't bind us to one spot or any budgetary concerns is certainly not detrimental.
So thank you. Councillor Deutschman?
Sure. The only thing is, I think if you're going to look for a site, you need to approve the plan first before you look for a site. And the council hasn't approved another encampment, so why would we be looking for, I assume we may be, but anything can happen. I think we're only talking about 12 days when the plan comes back to us. So it just seems to me that the prudent business thing to do is confirm that we are in agreement that we need another site and then start to initiate staff time looking into sites.
We're not going to have the approval of a site until the budget's approved, until the money's in it. And so we're not just talking November the 7th when the master plan for ending homelessness will be here. It took us 3 or 4 months to find a site previously, and I'm just trying to expedite to move the situation along so that if we're going to do one, we have that work behind us. And unless we have a site, we're not going to be building a hybrid encampment.
Okay, so I understand that we have a slight difference of opinion. I'm going to go to Councillor Schatz.
Thank you. I don't have a problem doing both of those pieces concurrently as long as staff has the time to do that. The other piece that I just wanted to bring forward, when these reports all come together, I would be interested in knowing how well we have done in making the shelter a flow through, so that are we moving people into housing? If we're not able to do that, why not? And how should we fix that going forward into another site? So I don't have a problem supporting that today or a couple weeks from now. I think we can do it concurrently if staff has the time.
Thank you for that. Councillor Hunick.
Thank you, Chair. I'm worried that I may have missed something. Do we have a report on how well the Erb Street shelter has been doing? Can I be directed to where that report is?
So there is a report coming, and there has always been an assumption stated quite explicitly there will be more than one managed encampment or managed shelter. So Councillor Erb, I believe, is just saying it takes some bandwidth and it takes some lead time. So he's suggesting that we direct staff to consider this at this point in time recognizing that our plan to end chronic homelessness is coming, and it has to be part of the budget, which won't be passed till the end of the year. So this is basically, I think, Councillor Erb just saying, can we direct staff that they make that part of their current activity so that when and if we get to that point, they will have a lead on where a possible site or sites might be.
That's awesome, and I'm supportive of that. Can you direct me to where the progress report on Erbs Street is? The Erbs Street shelter.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. Where was that?
The progress
no.
report for Erbs Street. It's coming to say it's coming.
Oh, we don't, okay. We don't have it yet. Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Foxton, is it about this?
Thank you. I'm sort of leaning with the way Councillor Shantz has stated. Not that anybody else is wrong or anything. You're absolutely correct. It's that the details they had to go through to get to this one. I think we had 5 options, and through certain things as a preliminary process, they dropped off the map. And so if we could get a leg up on this and start to get more tentative options, if they, again, as Councillor Shantz says, if they have the staffing and can do that, that'd be great.
Thank you very much. So Councillor Vrbanovic, you're about something else or this one? Okay.
Thank you. And I wasn't going to speak to it because I was going to leave the broader issue of my real concerns around homelessness this coming winter until that broader report comes forward. But I'm pleased that that Councillor Erb has brought this forward today because there are some real issues and some real concerns that I think we need to address. And as Chair Redmond and Mr. Lochner know, both Mr. Chapman, our CAO at the City of Kitchener, and myself met with them recently to discuss our council's concerns on a number of issues around homelessness, including the fact that the numbers have gone up significantly again at Victoria and Weber, and there doesn't appear to be, at least at this moment today, a clear line of sight in terms of how that's going to be addressed. I think Councillor Erb is absolutely right that this is going to take some time, and let's get that process started while we await the timelines. To be frank, I think we'll be lucky if we only need one additional one. And so let's start that work, and it'll obviously be public too, but it'll be subject to budget considerations.
Thank you, and I will come back to you if you have another issue. Councillor Salonen, is it about this issue?
Yes, it is. I just wanted to lean with kind of what Councillor Hunick was asking, and that we actually have a formal report, and like what Councillor Shantz was saying, the progress and how we're actually moving these individuals experiencing homelessness through the housing spectrum via the Erbs Street site to see if it is actually a successful model. I would, although I appreciate where Councillor Erb is coming from and that this does take a lot of time to find sites, I was also under the understanding that there are other potential identified sites. The Erbs Street was just the preferred given the timelines. So I don't really know how much digging staff really need to do to find new additional sites other than what was identified in the first round of looking for sites. And I would rather wait until we actually have informed data to be making decisions off of as to whether or not the hybrid model is the appropriate model forward as to how to best invest their money to help our unhomed individuals in the region.
So, colleagues, this was direction. It doesn't have to be unanimity. It's a bit of a broken front. So I don't know if we have...
Councillor Chair Redmond, point of order. I recall asking for direction on a letter to be sent by Chair Harris, and the requirement was unanimity in that particular instance, which was just a month ago. And then it required a motion, and then it lost on a notice of motion to waive a waiver. So I just need some clarity here, because in that instance it was unanimity, and you're saying it's not in this instance.
This is direction, it's not a motion, so,
Mine was direction as well.
okay.
Okay, and Councillor Chair Harris at the time specifically asked if it was unanimous or not. And because it was not unanimous, and you recall, you'd raised your hand, it required a motion on my part and lost on the waiver of notice of motion.
Okay, so I will ask, do we have unanimous support for directing to staff? Anybody opposed? Okay, so we don't have unanimity, so we will move forward. Councillor Vrbanovic.
Thanks, Chair Redmond. I just wanted to take a moment to actually acknowledge someone in the council chamber this evening who is retiring after 32 years, and that's Liz Montero from the record. And you know, I know many of us have had the opportunity to work with Liz both during her time here and probably a few times prior to that over her 32-year career. And you know, I think we all in this council even has passed a motion in the past around the challenges that local news is facing, not just here, but across the country. And I think we've all, during the pandemic, came to appreciate the importance of trusted, reliable sources of local news to inform residents of our community. And I will say, you know, Liz has certainly been one of those reporters who has done that. Keeping us accountable, but also keeping things factual. And so as you embark on the next chapter of your life later this week, just wanted to say thank you for all your service.
Thank you for that. Liz, we will miss you, but we know that you're staying in the community and you will take your considerable skills and resources to another very lucky institution to get you. So this is goodbye in this capacity, but we know that you'll be here to support good community efforts, so thank you. Colleagues, now to the really exciting part. Enactment of bylaws, first and second and third readings. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Leggett, seconded by Councillor Hunick. All those in favor? Councillor Harris, did I overlook you? I'm sorry.
Well, no, I mean, thank you, but Councillor Vrbanovic as well, you had mentioned, and I too have worked a long time with Liz Montero, and I know her last day is Friday, and I wish her all the best, and thank you for your service to our community, Liz.
That is carried. So I do this with great reluctance, but I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Foxton, seconded by Councillor Shantz. Please use your e-scribe to vote. Colleagues, the adjournment motion was carried, so you may now also vote